everyone, Amy here, and today I have kind of a unique distressed masculine card to share with you. It's pretty grungy, not really kind of in my wheelhouse or my normal style, but I had a lot of fun creating it. And I used this new to me Geo Triangles embossing folder from Altenew. I recently got it on a haul video that you may have watched, but I'm going to run this panel of lightweight kraft cardstock through my embossing machine off screen to start the first layer of this card. Now here's a photo of the finished card. As usual, I didn't have a plan. I just kind of played, and this is what came from it. So kind of grungy, kind of different, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out, and it's just kind of different for me, so it was fun to create. Now I have this first panel, and I have some blending brushes here. I'm just going to use some residual ink to start. I'm trying to make it look even more distressed. So I was looking there to see if it was cracked. I think it's actually just kind of wrinkled. But with this design, didn't even matter at all because it's a very distressed looking card. So I'm trying to lay down to make the paper look dirty and old. I have my brown blending brush, my black blending brush, and you'll see I do come in with some actual distress inks a little bit later, but I decided I want to rip the edges on this. So I want to make it look really distressed, and so I start ripping all the way around. Now normally the ripping isn't quite this drastic, but because of the embossing, it was really wanting to follow the lines, and it was really taking kind of huge chunks out of this kraft paper as I was tearing it. And I do find that pulling my hand towards me rather than like pulling the paper away from me tends to kind of create more of the feathered edge that I like when I'm tearing paper. But like I said, I wasn't sure if this was going to work out because it was taking much bigger chunks of the paper than I expected because of the embossing. But it ended up working out in the end. But maybe start with a bigger panel if you don't want that much of a border. But I kind of made it work in the design as I went through the creative process, making this card. So I'm just working my way around all four edges, giving it this really ripped, distressed look. Careful not to rip too much into the panel, but like I said, it was kind of had a mind of its own with the embossing. It was really wanting to follow those lines that were imprinted into it. So you can see it's not a super thick weight cardstock. It's just maybe, I don't know, 65 pounds or something like that. Inexpensive. I probably got it from a big box craft store. But here I decided to run another panel of the same kraft cardstock through a different embossing folder. And this is, I think, organic linen is what it's called. And again, I'm totally winging it. I don't have a plan, but I think, oh, well, this would be cool to kind of give it different textures, but a cool monochromatic look. So here I bust out hickory smoke, ground espresso, and black soot. And now I'm really bringing in the dirty, distressed look because I want this top panel to really kind of stand off the back panel. Obviously, they're the same color, but I want to make sure nothing gets lost in translation. So I'm just kind of going around where I know it's just going to sit right underneath that top panel. So I'm bringing in these different colors, and I decided to go really grungy and take this black soot and just run it messily around the edges. This is kind of a fun way to really age something or give it kind of a grunge look. So I do the same thing around the ripped edges, just in spots. No rhyme or reason. It's okay that it's messy. That kind of adds to the whole design. And then I have this hickory smoke, and I'm kind of coming in with that and laying that down on the back panel as well, just because I really want that top embossed ripped panel to really pop off the background. So here I attach the full size, that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 to a card base. That's a 110 pound Neenah Classic Crest Solar White. And in my recent scrapbook haul order, I got this roll of 1-inch foam tape, which I'm glad because I just ran out. So I'm going to cut a few strips of this just to really pop up that top panel on top of the embossed organic linen panel. So I do 3 strips, and then I realize that top one is just a little bit too thick, so I pull it up and then cut it in half or cut a chunk off of it so it doesn't overhang the top part of the ripped panel. So this is going to give it, some security. It's going to keep it from really getting crushed down, but it does give it some cool dimension and really helps that top layer stand off the background even a little bit better. So I had a little piece that ripped off. I just kind of put it back over the foam tape. So laid that down on there. I got that part ready. Now I have to figure out the sentiment. So here is my storage solution for my sentiments. I have one of these for my sentiments and one for my colored critters. So like my stamped animals that are die cut or fussy cutout that are colored and ready to go. I have a whole separate folder for those, but these are all just sentiment die cuts, and I'm kind of figuring out what direction I want to go. And I have this Woot die cut. This is a Kathy Zilski. It comes with the shadow and the top layer from Simon Says Stamp. I do believe this one may be discontinued, sadly. If it's available, I will link it. Excuse me, in the video description box below with all the other products, but I do think this one may no longer be available. So I'm just using my micro dots here. These are Artist Tack micro dots. I'm using this instead of liquid glue just because I don't always have the patience for liquid glue and I don't like the oozage. So I'm using that to attach these two layers to each other, and then ultimately again on the back of the black layer, and then that will attach it directly to my card base here. So I'm going to get all this ready to go. I have a couple simple strips from Tailored Expressions. They're nice and snarky, one for the front of the card and one for the back. The one on the front of the card, I will use a thin foam strip. I get those from Amazon, and I'll link those as well below in the video description box. But they're the perfect size to go behind little sub-sentiment strips like this, because they just give it the perfect amount of dimension and go and fit right behind it perfectly. So you can see all those little mini micro dots. You pick them up off the sheet without having to use liquid glue. So really handy. I'm just snipping this down to size and then lining it up directly under the Woot, and then I will use some liquid glue to attach the other sentiment on the inside of the card. So here I'm just figuring out if I want it to kind of overlap the little loop on the T or how I want it to go, but the geometric lines on that panel really help you to kind of line it up straight, so that's convenient. I'll put this on the inside of the card. So it says Woot, you're 1 year, it says balder, striked out, and then older. So you're 1 year older, and then another year closer to Velcro shoes. So the one on the front, I believe, is from the man, the myth, the legend, and then the one on the inside, I think, may just be the birthday set. I'm not sure. There's so many different sentiment strips from Tailored Expressions. And here I'm using my custom stamp to stamp on the back. So Woot, you're 1 year balder, older, and then 1 year closer to Velcro shoes. So obviously you would give this card to someone who doesn't mind being teased about another birthday. I have lots of guys in my life that would find this amusing. So I hope you enjoyed this card. Like I said, a little bit different than my normal clean and simple style, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And I will catch you next time. Bye.